Warp in 3, 2, 1.
Alright, computer. Let's hook up to the local GNet and let's get this going.
Initiating connection to Jupiter GNet Hub. Connection to Jupiter GNet Hub established.
Okay, computer. Open up comms to all our viewers and begin transmitting our latest file.
Transmitting John and the spaceboat, the Walkabout.
John was on a walkabout. His suit's mag boots allowed him to dangle hand down from the ceiling of the yet-to-be-completed starship. When needed, he graciously leapt between the unfinished decks using precise thrust from his spacesuit's integrated engines. Indeed, for a modern 21st century age logger, more often than not, space was an environment much adored by one's fans. Proper equipment was required, and also skill, knowledge of how to use said gadgets, so that you would stay ahead of the competition. Yet another gap between the decks stood ahead, and John decided to pull himself forward by using his grappling cable. Hand aimed at the bulkhead on the other side, he fired the hook and then left his forearm-mounted mechanism to pull his near-weightless body. John was, of course, streaming everything online the local GNet node. Earth's network and those all over the Imperial Monarchy were swarmed with links. Billions of active netsationalites, of which he was proud to say a couple million were watching his feed. Though everyone loved their tiny government, one had to wonder sometimes why it was named like this. Indeed, John knew, just as any other Terran, that their tiny star-state needed to keep up appearances. Both their emperor and empress were basically arm-wrestled by Earth's nation-states so that they would agree to, quote, rule over them and the colonies. The fact that he did not pay any taxes was not regulated, except some common-sense rules of his own and GNet community's design, and John's GNet business was therefore booming. He nevertheless donated a few thousand credits worth of combat supplies to the colonial militia forces. No sane Terran skimped on defense. Floating over the gap just before his mag boots locked on the other side, John aimed the holocam of his PDA at space. The beautiful view of Orbit 1, its double umbrella-shaped hull slowly rotating, the tens of thousands of starships leaving tiny, because of the great range, trails of drive plasma behind, while they landed or took off from the giant space station was more than worth any danger. His own starship, the name from which he still incited, floated in orbit of the moon, or Luna, as it was better known these days. Terraforming began during the first Great Space Sleep and ended shortly after the Pirate Clan invasion. Now, Luna Colony was home to millions, but for safety reasons, the terraforming engineers did not poke at the moon's core. Instead, to combat the effects of low gravity, the installed solar-powered grav generators in all settlements and their range mostly overlapped. His second home was there on Tycho City, the same place which invaders had almost leveled to the ground and kidnapped most of its population. Thankfully, the people who were destined to be sold on alien slave markets were saved. They were then returned to rebuild their city, did so in record time and basically from the ground up. John visited the Tri-Ship Monument many times, reading everything that a Terran could get their hands on, watched all the old and new holoflicks available on GNet, interviewed many of the veterans who were still very much alive. He had to remember, however sad the loss of so many lives, it was them who made the difference. Because of them, he could now do what he was doing, had the freedom to explore space. John rotated his holocam back forward, linked its stabilizer to the helmet's faceplate, and strode through yet another empty corridor. The starship held, ordered, built was essentially an elongated space yacht, with one extra deck and multiple illuminators made from transparent megasteel. That last feature did set him back at least 11,000 credits, but since the business was doing well, he could afford it. Engines were made by a Martian company called Mega Sprocket, with double plasma chambers and extra RAM scoops. The two small beasts were sure to give John's ship all the speed needed if he had to evade trouble. The hypercells, which came factory built in every space yacht, he didn't remove. The idea was to fly on their power most of the time, enjoy the ride, and best of all, the sights. He was an H-logger after all. Through GNet had countless netsationalites like him who, through their PDAs to record or stream holovids on the net, John had found his niche audience. Of course, one could not have perfect hyperspace satellite coverage everywhere all the time. Therefore, all that H-logger like him could realistically rely on were a few dozen solar systems or more. Moreover, he was a Terran, and his people were, at least for now, a novelty to the benevolent people of the galaxy. Reaching the bow of his ship, John flew in outer space through the observation tower, the hook of his grappling locked on the hull. He made a 360 turn with his holocam, while marveling at the lights of Luna reflecting off all those parts of his ship that had been space-painted. Looking from the side, his yacht reminded him of something, and John checked the comment feed of his GNet channel. It was swarming with posts, and the various bots he'd set up were filtering those he could realistically answer to the top of his feed. Smiling at the holocam, John asked the question and instantly popped up a few million times over. "What do you think I should call this beauty?" He waited a bit. The hyperlag was sometimes a killer, and many of his subscribers were from star systems a couple dozen light years away. It wasn't fair to them if their questions or answers were never seen nor answered. Therefore, he only had to wait a few short minutes. After all, hyperspace satellites around the area were of Terran craft. Soon the lines of text began overlapping. One and the same answer conquered his comment section. Spaceboat.
Okay, computer, that's it. Disconnect from the GNet and set course for Omnia Prime.
Disconnecting GNet. Setting course. Omnia Prime. Stalling engines now. Initiating. Jumping in 3, 2, 1.